Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I'm excited about this video because I really feel like I've come across something important. And I'm gonna do a little experiment for you guys, a literacy experiment. And this is one of those videos that I really worry that won't get a whole lot of views. That'll just get lost in with all my other videos. But I really think I've come across something here. Okay, it started about 20, 30, 40 years ago. I went to school, and when I graduated high school, I went to a technical school because I couldn't afford college. And it was for drafting, architectural drafting, and I graduated in 1986. And this is when drafting was architectural drafting. We would sit down and they would teach us about tensile strength and compression, the three different types of force: shear, compression, tension. Like when we're designing, we would have to do like a whole page of figures to figure out whole calculations to figure out what size beams to put in the floor or in the ceiling, live load, dead load, how much snow might be on the roof, how much furniture might be in the room. And we would do a whole page of calculations to figure out whether to put a 2x8 12 inches on center, or a 2x6 18 inches on center, or we did a whole page of calculations. I got hurt. There was the housing crisis back in there was a whole housing crisis back in 1989, I believe, and I got laid off, and I got into truck driving. I got hurt truck driving, and they sent me back to school. They re-educated me to get back into drafting. Okay, so then I went for electrical CAD engineering drafting, and there's CAD. Okay, and this is in 2002 I graduated. About 18 years later, 16 years later, and things had changed so much. We were sitting in front of computers. I got hired at a firm in Avon, Connecticut, an engineering firm, and there was no longer calculations. We would sit in front of a computer for hours and just press buttons. The company I was working for designed HVAC ductwork, and you basically just hit buttons. You would just. It was just about computers, pushing buttons on a computer. I'd copy a floor plan, and then I'd hit a button, and the computer would tell me what size ductwork, would go through the whole thing, and I'd move things around and copy and flip and mirror and stuff like that, and that was it. There was no calculations. And I looked at the guy sitting next to me. He was a younger guy, and I was like, this guy doesn't know how to do any of these calculations, any of these the actual mathematics and the actual thinking that it took to design something. The stresses on the building. These guys knew nothing about this. And I can only imagine what kids are learning in school now in 2024. Okay, fast forward to this morning. I'm on X, or Twitter, and every morning I go on Twitter. It disgusts me. It does. It's a barren landscape now, full of conspiracy theories and angry rhetoric and just this fascist nonsense, Trump worshiping. It's scary. Okay, so there's this whole thing about the drones over New Jersey, and I'm reading this, and I'm watching these. It reminds me of a bunch of chickens with their head. What do you ever hear the term? Running around like chickens with their heads cut off. There's a bunch every day. The conspiracy theories on there kind of change. Yesterday, they were saying about how these drones would never dare go over a red state because those states. This is actual quotes, that those states have testicles and the blue states don't. Like nobody in a blue state has firearms or whatever, shoot at a drone or anything like that. I'm afraid that they're going to start shooting at small planes. There's a small plane crash just yesterday in Westchester, at Westchester Airport, not too far from here. A small aircraft, or right near where these drones are, and I'm starting to wonder, if these small planes are going to start getting shot out of the sky. So then today, the whole conspiracy has changed. Now it's Project Bluebeam. And they're saying that these aren't real drones, they don't think. They think this is the government or somebody else projecting beams into the sky. So they think they're all saying now that that the government's trying to, to scare us, to terrify us with these these holograms projected into the sky. And I kept reading, and there was I'm surprised that Twitter has this, but there was actual warnings under a few videos. There was videos of people shooting back at the drones. You'd see those tracers going up. And I'm thinking, who has tracers here in the United States? Usually bullets with tracers are used in military, in war. And sure enough, the video has a warning. It's been altered. Somebody took video from Iraq or whatever, and then mixed it with the drone, so. And then there's another video with supposedly somebody in New Jersey is filming a drone, and he's like, look, it's spraying something down, and then you see this beam coming down. It doesn't look like spray, but this guy's saying, look, they're spraying something on us. You could see it right there. You could see the spray. And again, underneath it says this video has been altered. So, they took it from Independence Day or something like that and mixed it with the drone footage. And I start thinking about this. I'm like, okay, so you have all these paranoid chickens with their heads cut off running around screaming about the government trying to fool them. And then the irony is they're actually doing it to each other and to us by posting fake rhetoric about the people shooting back and the spraying down, and so it's this whole landscape of misinformation and stupidity and fear mongering, and it's terrifying. So I started thinking, how much we depend on our phones. I was thinking back to when I was drafting, back in 1985, how I learned to do those calculations and how much people are really getting less literate, less intelligent. We're depending so much, just like the people I worked with. Back in 85, we did the calculations, a whole page of calculations. Douglas, I still remember, Douglas fir was good up to 1 million pounds per square inch of force down on it. I still remember, Doug fir, we were talking, this is stuff we talked about, back then. Now they push a button, and the ductwork and everything else disappears. The computer does all the thinking. We just have somebody pushing buttons, just a figurehead, a dummy in front of the computer pushing buttons, and they don't even know how to do calculations or do the actual critical thinking for themselves. They don't even know what they're drawing. They don't even understand the basics of it. I started thinking about this. I like to read a lot, and I noticed that literature, and I have some here. Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, I believe that was written back, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I think it was written back in the early 1800s. Classics of horror, all right? Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Dracula. And I didn't cherry pick these. And then I took a book from the library that I just picked up recently, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, right? And I just opened up to random pages, and look how much the literature has changed, how much things have been dumbed down, how stupid we've gotten. Okay, look, let me take a book from 150 years ago, and just pick a page out. Let's see. I don't have my reading glasses here. No one can conceive the variety of feelings which bore through me onwards like a hurricane. In the first enthusiasm of success, life and death appeared to me ideal bounds which I should first break through and pour a torrent of light into the dark world. A new species would bless me. I apologize I should have my reading glasses here. But you do this. You look back at any old literature, and the words are like four-syllable words. Now, let me fast forward to a book from today. All right. For decades, we've been told that positive thinking is the key to happy, rich life. See, just there, he's using small words instead of lucrative or wealthy. Happy, rich life. They're using small words, tiny words now. But those days are over. F positivity. Mark Manson says, let's be honest, Sometimes things are effed up and we have to live with it. For the past few years, Manson, via his wildly popular blog, has been working on correcting our delusional expectations. Ooh, I'm surprised they even used that big words. For ourselves and for the world. He now brings his hard-fought wisdom to the groundbreaking book. Things are so dumbed down. If you you pick any book, pretty much any book, especially like these nonfiction books, and look at the words, look at the grammar and everything, and then you go back to Mary Shelley or Robert Louis Stevenson. And you look at the words and the literature in this book, and we become stupid. We're getting stupider. And the evidence, the hard, concrete evidence of that is on Twitter or X. It's terrifying. You have people running around with these conspiracy theories and rhetoric and fear mongering, and it leaves me it makes me think about AI. You know, you talk about artificial intelligence. And I start thinking about how we're actually getting less intelligent, less literate. You know, I could see this. This is concrete here. You know, I've seen it over the years. As I'm getting older, people maybe in their 20s or 30s probably don't see this, but as we get older, we see this. And if you could see it even more, if you look back at the literature from like 100 or 150 years ago, you see it big time how we're getting stupider. See, using a word like stupider. And we're depending more on our phones. And I started thinking about AI. And in the future, the near future, it might be, AI might have to take control of humanity because we're depending more and more on tech. And it's taking it, we're giving up our intelligence. We're giving up our critical thinking, our cognitive thinking. And we're handing it off to computers because because we're lazy. We want to make our lives easier. And sooner or later, AI is going to figure out that it's going to need to be a parent over us because we've become so stupid, so illiterate. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think on this. I'll be back later with another video. I got to put away all my props here, all my visual aids. You guys have a good Saturday.